Marcus Johnson rose from his seat as the pregnant woman boarded the crowded subway car. A grateful smile passed between them as she eased into his spot. Minutes later, her face transformed with fury as she stood and pointed directly at him, accusing him of stealing her wallet. What happened next would challenge everything everyone believed about that day. If you'd like to hear more stories like this one, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. It was a typical Tuesday evening in the city. The subway car swayed gently as it moved through the underground tunnels, packed with commuters eager to get home after a long day. Among them was Marcus Johnson, a 32-year-old accountant who had just finished a particularly challenging day at the financial firm where he had worked for the past 5 years. Marcus stood near the center of the car, one hand gripping the overhead rail, the other clutching his leather briefcase. He was mentally reviewing the quarterly reports he needed to finish by morning when the train slowed to a stop at Lexington Avenue Station. The doors slid open, and several passengers pushed their way inside the already crowded car. Among them was a woman in her early 30s, visibly pregnant, perhaps 7 or 8 months along. She looked exhausted, one hand supporting her lower back, the other protectively cradling her swollen belly. Without hesitation, Marcus stepped forward. He caught the woman's attention with a polite gesture and motioned to his recently vacated seat. Relief washed over her tired features as she nodded gratefully and made her way to the empty spot. As she settled in, she looked up at Marcus with a tired but genuine smile of appreciation. Marcus nodded politely in return before repositioning himself by the doors, planning to exit at the next stop. He pulled out his phone to check his evening schedule, completely unaware that this simple act of kindness was about to turn his life upside down. The train rumbled on, stopping and starting as passengers flowed in and out at each station. Marcus barely noticed the passage of time as he scrolled through his emails. 3 more stops until home. 2 more stops. Just as the train was approaching his station, a commotion erupted behind him. The pregnant woman had suddenly risen to her feet, her expression transformed. Gone was the grateful smile, replaced by a mask of fury and accusation. Her finger pointed directly at Marcus as she raised her voice above the noise of the train. She told everyone within earshot that her wallet was missing. She explained that she had felt someone brush against her bag when she first sat down, and now her wallet containing her ID, credit cards, and $200 in cash was gone. All eyes in the subway car turned toward Marcus. The atmosphere shifted instantly from the usual commuter indifference to focused suspicion. The subway car fell silent as passengers stared, their expressions quickly shifting from curiosity to judgment. Marcus felt his heart rate accelerate as he realized what was happening. He attempted to explain that he had simply given up his seat and moved away. Nothing more. But his words seemed to evaporate in the tense air of the subway car. No one appeared to be listening. Instead, several passengers began recording the confrontation on their phones. Their camera lenses pointed directly at his face. Marcus felt a wave of panic as he watched his image being captured, knowing how easily things could be misinterpreted. The train pulled into the next station, his stop. Marcus moved toward the doors, desperate to escape the suffocating atmosphere of accusation. But as he tried to exit, a large man in a business suit stepped in front of him, blocking his path. The man suggested they should wait for transit police to sort things out. His tone wasn't aggressive, but the implication was clear. He wasn't letting a suspected thief simply walk away. Other passengers murmured their agreement. Someone had already pressed the emergency call button to alert subway security. Trapped and increasingly anxious, Marcus felt sweat beading on his forehead. He was acutely aware of how this situation might appear to others, of how he might appear. A black man being accused by a pregnant woman. The optics couldn't be worse, and he knew it. Transit police arrived within minutes. They questioned Marcus and the woman separately while passengers continued filming. The officers conducted a thorough search of Marcus's person and his briefcase. They found his wallet, his phone, his keys, and assorted work documents, but no sign of the woman's missing wallet. After nearly 20 minutes of questioning and searching, the officers informed the woman they had found nothing. She appeared confused, still insisting her wallet had been taken. The officers suggested she file a formal report at the station if she wished to pursue the matter. By the time Marcus was allowed to leave, the damage had been done. As he finally stepped off the train, He caught glimpses of passengers already reviewing the videos they had recorded. He could only imagine how those clips would portray him. His fears were confirmed the very next morning. Videos of the incident had already been uploaded online overnight, spreading across social media platforms with frightening speed. Most of the clips had been edited to show only the accusation and Marcus's desperate defense. None captured his earlier act of kindness in giving up his seat. The headlines were devastating. "Thief exposed on subway," read one. "Pregnant woman accuses man of stealing wallet," declared another. His face was clearly visible in most of the videos, making him instantly recognizable to anyone who knew him. It didn't take long for internet sleuths to identify him. By that afternoon, Marcus's name, workplace, and even his home address were circulating online. Anonymous accounts were calling for his firing. Others suggested even worse consequences. The following day, Marcus's supervisor called him into the office. Though his boss chose his words carefully, the message was clear. Marcus was being placed on unpaid administrative leave pending an internal review. They couldn't have an employee associated with such negative publicity, regardless of the truth of the accusations. When Marcus returned to his apartment building that evening, a neighbor he had always exchanged friendly greetings with hurried into her unit without making eye contact. Another resident pulled his children closer as Marcus passed them in the hallway. His phone rang constantly with calls from friends and family who had seen the videos. His mother called in tears after someone forwarded her a link. She asked if he needed money, if he should move back home for a while, if he needed a lawyer. Marcus assured her he would be fine, even as he wondered if that was true. As days passed, Marcus stopped going out except for necessities. Each time he left his apartment, he felt eyes following him, judging him. He wore sunglasses and a hat pulled low, hoping to avoid recognition. He stopped answering his phone. His social media accounts were flooded with hateful messages from strangers convinced of his guilt. Could a simple act of kindness really lead to this? Was this really happening to him? Marcus replayed the incident in his mind constantly, wondering if there was something he could have done differently. Should he have just stayed in his seat and ignored the pregnant woman? The thought made him feel sick. A week after the incident, Marcus was sitting in his darkened apartment, blinds drawn, when an email notification appeared on his phone. The sender's address was unfamiliar, a string of random numbers and letters. The subject line read simply, "What really happened?" Curiosity overcoming his caution, Marcus opened the email. It contained a brief message. "I think you should see this," followed by a video attachment. With trembling hands, Marcus pressed play, unsure of what new humiliation might await him. The footage showed the subway car from a completely different angle, captured from the opposite corner where a young woman had been sitting. The timestamp matched the day of the incident. Marcus watched as the video clearly showed him giving up his seat to the pregnant woman. He saw himself move away toward the doors. And then, as clear as day, the footage showed another passenger, a well-dressed man in an expensive suit, deliberately slip his hand into the pregnant woman's bag while she was adjusting herself in the seat. The thief extracted her wallet with practiced ease and concealed it inside his jacket, all while she was distracted. Marcus stared at the screen in disbelief. Here was proof, undeniable evidence that he had been wrongfully accused. According to the email, the video had been taken by a college student who had been filming commuters for a class project on urban living. She hadn't realized what she had captured until reviewing her footage days later. With renewed hope and this crucial evidence in hand, Marcus contacted a lawyer. They immediately filed to obtain security footage from other stations along the subway line. The additional videos revealed the actual thief exiting the train 2 stops later and using the woman's credit cards at a convenience store near the station. Within days, Marcus's name was cleared. News outlets that had eagerly reported on the accusation now published updates about the mistaken identification and the real culprit. The thief was identified as a serial pickpocket with multiple prior arrests. As public opinion rapidly shifted, Marcus received an unexpected email. It was from the pregnant woman herself, Lisa Chambers. She expressed profound mortification over her mistake and the consequences it had for him. She explained that in the stress and confusion of the moment, she had genuinely believed he was responsible. What happened next surprised Marcus even more. Lisa turned out to be the daughter of James Chambers, an executive at one of the city's largest media companies. Moved by Marcus's ordeal and his initial kindness in offering his seat, she arranged a meeting with her father. The meeting led to an offer, a position at Chambers Media with better pay and opportunities than Marcus's previous accounting job. It wasn't charity, James explained, but recognition of Marcus's character and how he had handled himself throughout the ordeal. The incident sparked important conversations about racial profiling and rushed to judgment in the digital age. Marcus found himself becoming an unexpected spokesperson against online harassment, appearing on talk shows and at conferences to share his experience. A national foundation approached him to lead an initiative on digital ethics and responsible social media use. His story became a case study in journalism classes about the dangers of rushing to judgment based on partial evidence. Despite everything that had happened, Marcus never stopped offering his seat to those in need on his daily commute. His simple act of kindness, though initially punished, ultimately led to a better life and a platform to create positive change. So what was happening in that subway car that day? A simple misunderstanding that spiraled out of control? A case of racial profiling? Or perhaps a reminder that in our rush to judgment, we often miss the complete picture of what's really going on around us? And what would you do if you were falsely accused in public? Would you have the strength to maintain your dignity and kindness like Marcus did?